Hello and yeah, welcome to Gunnar Weiskamp's Web Development. This is lesson 11, SQL Server Foreign Keys and Default Constraints. So today we'll be looking at foreign key and default constraints, and we will be demonstrating the benefits of their use. So going into these sort of aspects of SQL Server in a little bit more detail. If you want to create today's app, I'm using Microsoft SQL Server 2014, but you can use probably any SQL Server to create today's code. Okay, so let's get into SQL Server. Right, so on our right here, we can, on our left, we can see certain databases. This is our database area. If you're new to SQL Server, that you'll see here. Now I've got some code that I'm pasting in here. First, let's just knock this out. Let's hide that for now. So we're going to create two tables. One is the a user data table. It's got three important keys or fields. First is this ID field, the username and ID marital status. So the ID field here is going to be a primary key. It's what's called a primary key, as we can see here from this constraint code. So from this constraint code. So this ID is going to be a primary key. It's going to be self-setting because it's got this identity set here as 1. And what does it all mean? If a table has a primary key created, you can look up information on it quicker, or SQL Server can look up information on it quicker. So it's ideal to have primary keys in all tables that you create. It's self-seeding because it's got this identity set here as 1, 1. So by self-seeding, it means it will put its own information in it every time you insert information on that table. So as mentioned, it's got two other fields here, just normal other fields. It's going to be the username and the ID marital status. And this is going to be linked to this marital status table. And obviously it's going to hold the username and if he's married, single or unknown marital status. So here's our second table, marital status, which obviously is going to link into this table here. So this is going to be called a link table. It's got two fields, ID and status, and as we can see here again, it's got the ID field here is the primary key as made by this constraint here, and it also is self-seeding. Its other field is the status, and obviously it's going to hold a description of the marital status, which we're going to put in single, married or unknown. So let's create those two tables, and we've just got to run that. So let's move first into our, be good if we made a database, isn't it? Okay. For the sake of this tutorial, I am going to just use this school database. Okay, so we're going to put these two tables in this database here in the school database. Okay, let's run that. Okay, so now we should have two tables created in here. Let's have a look. So we've got the user data table created here, and we've got the marital status table that's also been created. So just be looking at those two tables here. Oops, can I? No, can't do that. Anyway, so just make sure that we're looking at these two tables here. Okay, so let us now insert information on this user data table. Simple thing of inserts, and then we're going to select information as well. So let's just select user on this table here. So we can see we've inserted information there, and let's have a look at these two tables, what's in there. So in the marital status, we have put nothing in there, but we have now got this user of Tom in our user data table. Now obviously, so we've got here this 1. What does that actually mean to us at this stage? Not a lot. And this information is pretty useless to us in many ways. So it'd be good if we could stop people putting information in there if it's not present on this marital status table, because currently there's nothing on this marital status table. And this is what the foreign key constraint is going to do next. But we needed to have added that in when we actually created the table. So now it's a little bit too late. So we're going to do that. We're going to actually add the constraint. So notice here we've got this now in there. We'll just leave this picture open. Now we'll go back and start this process somewhat again. Use data. So let's delete this table. And let's delete marital status. So just to be clear here, after we created these two tables here, we can insert information on this table, but the information is pretty well useless, at least this aspect is. So this second part is going to show how we can make the integrity of our information in our database a lot better, and that's what they call the integrity of database. That's what that terminology is all about. Okay, so let's grab some code. So we're going to recreate the tables, but this time around, we're going to actually add the constraints as well. Now you might be thinking of what a constraint is. So think of the word, if you're constrained, you can't do something for some certain reason. And that's what a constraint on a table is. It put the constraint on the table and says, you can't do this because of X. And in our particular example, what the constraint is going to be is going to be this, it's called a foreign key constraint. And so what's going to happen here now is that this field here is going to be linked to this field here. So this here is going to be a foreign key on this table, but it's going to be linked to this table. And after this, so this is what this piece of code does here. So this is all going to create our foreign key constraints. First of all, we're going to alter the table after it's created. Then we're going to add this constraint. It's called a foreign key constraint. And you can see here the key that it's referencing is this ID marital status, which is here on this table. And it references this database table, which is here, and the field in that table, which is here. So that's how our foreign key constraint is created. This other constraint here means that it's called a check constraint, and anytime you insert information on this table, it's first going to check this constraint to see if it works or if it's valid. And what that means is that previously we were able to insert here this value of 1 on this table, even so there's no information present. Now with this constraint you can't do that. There has to be this 1 and status in this table for that to happen, but I will demonstrate that as well. So let's just run this. This should work. Execute that. Oops, there we go. Okay. Okay, so we must execute that. Okay. Execute that. Okay, right now. And execute that. Data. Oh, I see. So our foreign key has somehow not been updated correctly. Has to equal this as well. Okay, so let's knock all this out. There's a bit of a typo there. Let's knock all this out. So now let's just refresh our tables here. So we can see we've got our marital status back and our user data status back. So if we now look at our user data and our keys, you can see this foreign key here has actually been created. So this F key means foreign key, while PK means primary key. So this is this guy here, in other words, this foreign key over here, user address. So now before, when we executed this code, we were able to insert information on there. Now if we insert this code here, try it again, we will not be able to, because currently we haven't actually even put anything on this marital status, and it says, well, there's no information there for this key here, so you can't do it. So let's try that. See, exactly. So it's not allowing you to do that. It's saying, you know, there's nothing on this table here which we can see. So there's nothing here on this table. So what this error says, you know, you've broken the conflict with the foreign key constraint because you have got no item on there. You first need to have an item on there which also corresponds to this one to allow this to happen. So if we do that, status, let's say single. Okay, so let's do it. Let's insert that, execute. Okay, let's take that out. So now if we select all from here, from these two tables, we can see now we've got a status of single here on this table specifically. So now when we insert this, it will work, because it goes off and checks this field, this constraint goes off and checks here, do we have a status of 1, because we're inserting 1 here, and that is correct, so it'll allow that to happen. So if we now run this, oops, all good. See, so now if we select from here, we can see our user has been added in. And now this information makes sense, because we look there, oh, 1 equals single. So that's creating database integrity, information integrity. Your information is better. It's, you know, more understandable. And so that's what this whole foreign key constraint is about. What about default constraints? Let's have a look here. Let me grab a bit of code here. So what a default constraint does. So if you enter an entry such as this, just an insert of the name, you're not actually entering a marital status. So you want a default status put in, say, as unknown. I don't know it, so I'm not going to insert it. So you want unknown to be here and to be placed on that table. So let's actually, before I get too much further into it, we will let's add all the proper entries. So execute that, and let's say if we do not know if they are married or not, or just they don't want to give out that information, let's just execute that. So now let us have a quick look at the tables. So we can see all the marital status is single, married, or unknown. Now, so if we don't know, or the user doesn't want to give out that information, we can set this default marital status at 3. So in case this runs, this default status of 3 will be entered on this field here for that user. So all we have to do is we create this called alter table syntax. We're altering this table and we're adding a constraint, and it's called, this is the name of the constraint, and we have to say default to that, and that's going for this field here, ID marital status, which is connected to this table here, as you can see. So if we run this code here, now let's just take that out. So now if I run this, we should well, let's give the person a new name, Mike. Now this user should have a marital status of 3, and obviously corresponding means that is unknown. So let's just try that. Whoops, we didn't take that out. There we go. So now if we select from here, you can see there you go. It's got a Mike is now marital status of 3, which corresponds to unknown. So this also enhances database integrity. It means that you'll always have an entry in there, which sometimes it might be wrong. You might have forgotten the user, but at least later on you go, if you look at your information, you go, oh, this guy was status of unknown, maybe I can update that user. So it enhances database integrity. So what happens if we do, this is going back to foreign key constraints really. So if we put Lisa in and we put in a marital status of 4, this will not work. And you can maybe guess why. Oops. Let's try running that. Whoops, spelling. Okay, so it didn't allow us to do that, and why is that? Because 4 is not on this marital status. You can't, there is no 4, there's only 1, 2 or 3, so you can't insert a marital status of 4 because it doesn't exist. So again, further enhancing our database integrity. Yeah, so I hope that was helpful for you guys. Please subscribe to my channel or visit my website there at goodnoldwisecamp.com. Thank you.